All right, I am going to get started on our presentation, our retiree presentation for this afternoon. The presentation is being recorded and I will post it on our district website. It is going to be an overview of our teacher retirement benefits, so it's not including all the other employee groups like clerical or custodial. However, if at any point somebody has a question about that, you can reach out to me directly. We are not doing a Q&A on this session. It's strictly going over the retiree benefits that are allowed for our teacher group. So I have shared my screen. We're going to go over this presentation on WRS and the district offered retirement benefits. So I do have a link in here from a previous presentation from Diane. She is the executive director of Wisconsin Retired Educators Association, WREA. The information is from 24, but it is not old information. It's a lot of good information on WRS, pension options, and how that system works. So it's a good presentation to reference and take a look at. So I wanted to link that in there for you as well. Specific questions. If anyone has specific questions, there is going to be a Google form that we ask for you to fill out. It's this link called this form. First and last name, and then you can type your question in here. All questions will route to Sharon and Suzanne in HR, myself, Kristen Rose in the business office, and that way either one of us can respond to the question depending on if it is more HR related or the insurance side of things. So every person's situation is different. Everyone has unique circumstances going on towards retirement. So we really ask that you fill out and put all of your questions into this form so that we can answer your specific questions. We generally get back to people same day or by next morning, depending on the timing. The teacher benefit through School District of Waukesha is a $75,000 contribution for payments to go towards health insurance or an actuarial reduction. So the health insurance, if you were to use that $75,000 towards health insurance, cannot exceed 8 years. So it's when the $75,000 is gone or 8 years, whichever comes first. That $75,000 is not given to the retiree. It is set aside for the district's portion of premiums to be deducted from every month. The retiree is still responsible for paying their portion of premiums. You can also use that $75,000 towards an actuarial reduction. So anybody who is age 55 or older and have 15 full-time consecutive years at Waukesha School District is eligible for the retiree insurance or actuarial reduction. If you use that money towards the actuarial reduction, that is for you to buy up to 2 years of age. It does not buy years of service. So in the WRS handbook on this page 10 document, which I linked in here, this is a helpful resource where you can see, and it's going to open on a different screen. Go to page 10. They have a chart in here that will outline what your benefit looks like. So if you are age 65, you are automatically at 100% pension. There is no age reduction for leaving early at age 65, even if you only had 5 years of service. At age 65, 100%. If you have 30 years of service and you are age 57, you're at 100%. There's no age reduction. So to be eligible for the district benefits, you have to be 55 years of age and have 15 years of service. If you're age 55 and have 30 or more years of service, you would be at this 90.4%. The actuarial reduction would allow you to buy 2 years of age to get you to age 57 and have no age reduction and be at 100%. So that's how the actuarial reduction will work. If you want to use that $75,000 benefit towards an actuarial reduction and not towards health insurance, you would need to request up to 2 years of the actuarial directly from ETF. They will send you a document that outlines what that cost would be for up to 2 years. Once you get that back from ETF, if you want to move forward with that and you're going to put in your intent to retire to HR, You would then give that form to Suzanne or Sharon in HR. They sign off on that, and then they will fax it directly to ETF on your behalf. That form is due to HR by May 18th, no later than May 18th, if you are doing the actuarial. If you're not, if you don't want to buy any years of age and you're going to use that 75,000 specifically for health insurance, you do not have to fill out that form. Just because you get that document back from ETF on what that cost would be for the 2 years does not mean you have to give that form to HR and move forward with it. It's just at least an option for you to look into if it is something you are interested in, so that you did not take a reduction in age if you were less than 57 or had less than that 30 years. The most frequently asked question is if any of these retirement benefits are going to change after this school year. As of right now, there are no changes to this post-employment benefit. We don't have information on changes. It's not currently being discussed. We understand that there are changes coming in the district, but the current retirement benefits will continue until there is any sort of board change. If we anticipated any changes, there could potentially be a phase-in of the changes or the possibility of reopening the window to provide your intent to retire to HR. Currently, if you are interested in retiring after the 25-26 school year, you would have to submit your intent to retire letter to Human Resources by February 13th at 4 p.m. So before February 13th. If you are intending on retiring at the end of this school year. Some important dates to remember. Around this time, 6 to 12 months prior to you wanting to retire, you should be in contact with WRS so that you can get an estimate of your benefits. So even if you are not going to retire at the end of the school year, but you're thinking about retiring at the end of this school year and you're eligible, you're 55, you're close to 55, you can start to contact ETF for your WRS estimate of benefits. So it's not a bad idea to contact them just to find out what your benefits would look like if you were to decide to retire. So it doesn't mean you have to, but you're allowed to request that estimate of benefits annually once you're eligible to retire with WRS. So if you're close to 55, at 55, you don't know if you want to work one more year, retire this year, maybe 2 years, you're kind of on the fence, I would suggest reaching out to them just to get that estimate of benefits. For some reason, if we were to reopen that February 13th date, or if there were changes that could potentially happen with their benefits, at least you would have an idea of where you stand on what that dollar amount for your pension looks like, what your eligibility looks like. At mid-May, end of May, I will be hosting a benefit selection meeting. So anyone who does submit their retirement notice to HR before February 13th, I will host a meeting generally over WebEx in May. So I can't give you a date on that yet, but I will reach out to everyone who has their board approved retirement on file and let you know when that date's going to be. So generally it's middle of May, end of May, whenever we know what our September 1st, 2026 insurance premiums are going to look like. That's when I'll host that meeting so I can provide you what those premiums are going to look like as a retiree and get you all of the paperwork that I'll need back. Another date to keep in mind towards May, sorry about that, is the district retirement celebration. So I don't have a specific date on that yet, but it's been previously held in mid-May. So once we know that date, that information will be sent out to all retirees from HR as well. And then that May 18th date is when the actuarial reduction form would be due to HR if you are going to buy those age years for the actuarial reduction. When do your other benefits end? So your life insurance, your AD&D will end the last day of the month of employment. So if your last day of work is June 12th, your life insurance and AD&D insurance will end at the end of June. Your short-term and long-term disability will end the last day of employment. So your last working day is June 12th. Short-term and long-term will end on June 12th. Your vision, your dental, your health insurance will end on August 31st. So your last day is in June, but you have insurance through the end of our plan year, which is August 31st, because you're a 10-month employee. Which would mean if you are taking the retiree insurance, then retiree insurance would start on September 1st of 2026. So there's no gap in coverage, but active insurance goes through 8/31. You will be offered COBRA insurance for dental and vision, so the retiree benefits only cover health insurance. So that $75,000 benefit is set aside for the district portion of premiums. You, the retiree, continue paying your portion of premiums for health insurance, and then you could elect COBRA for dental or vision. Next steps, the link to ask questions on here, I'll open that again if you want to fill out a Google form if you have any questions, first name, last name, and then type in your question. And then these responses, these questions will route directly to Suzanne and Sharon in HR and myself in the business office. I'm going to open up this packet as well because this will contain a lot of helpful information. And then make sure if you are going to retire after the 25-26 school year, last day being June 12th, that you submit your intent to retire to HR by February 13th. Once you provide your notice to HR, your intent does become public on the Friday before the board meeting. So if the board meeting is January 14th, the packet is done on January 9th, the Friday before that Wednesday board meeting. The February 11th board meeting, it would become public knowledge on February 6th. And then the March 11th board meeting, it would become public knowledge on March 6th. So these are the 3 board meeting dates after the notice being due. So then I'm going to open up this packet. These are more retiree benefit information. We did discuss if there were any changes after the school year, which there are not any changes to the retirement benefits at this time. So there's going to be a checklist, different retiree benefit information, an overview of WRS and the teacher group retirement benefits. So the pre-retirement checklist, really you want to make sure you're looking at your current income needs as a retiree, what you project your retirement income needs to be, and based on that information that you are provided from ETF and what your pension dollar amounts would look like when you request that estimate of benefits. If you're eligible, you are able to estimate your Social Security benefits and apply for Social Security. Any other sources of income, you're also going to want to contact WRS generally 6 to 12 months prior to your retirement date. Your retirement date that we submit to WRS is your last working day. So if you're a regular 190-day teacher, your last working day is June 12th. That's the date that we provide to WRS. I understand there are some teachers that work a 200-day contract. Your last working day is what is reported to WRS. At the time you request your packet from WRS, you can also ask for that election to pay the cost of an actuarial reduction for up to 2 years. So the district would pay the cost of that from that $75,000 benefit if you want to buy the 2 years of age. That form is due to HR. It's actually the 18th of 2026. I missed a date in there. So that has to be returned to HR by May 18th. The eligibility criteria, again, you have to be age 55 or older with 15 years of continuous full-time service in the district to be eligible for the retiree health insurance or the actuarial reduction. And I missed that one too, sorry.
I
And
think
then-
you did update all of them, Kristen. I just think it's actually just last year's link in
that's
there.
the old one.
So you have the updated one.
Okay.
I think the link is just last year's link, so
I
we
was
can
like,
just
I did
update that.
update the information. Okay.
Yeah.
I will send out and link the other information. So the notification is due on February 13th to HR if you're going to retire, and then your actuarial form is due May 18th to HR. Then I will host the May meeting on your benefit selections. If you return your paperwork to ETF for your WRS pension and your election amounts, generally 4 to 6 weeks prior to your last working day. So middle of May is a good date to keep in mind. You can potentially receive your first pension payment on July 1st. If you delay in submitting your elections to ETF on what options you want to select for your pension payments, that could delay you in receiving your first pension check not until August 1st. So the timing of when you submit your paperwork to ETF will determine on when your first check of your pension will arrive. So then 2 sources of retirement benefits. There's your WRS, your pension piece from the state, and then your school district of Waukesha insurance or actuarial reduction. For WRS, you want to make sure that all of your updated information, beneficiaries, elections, tax forms are all submitted to ETF so that your pension payments are coming directly to you. You have the proper taxes taken out. All of that goes directly to ETF when you are filling out your paperwork. We do have the phone number and the address included in this packet, so you can contact WRS directly. I do know somebody emailed me earlier today. They did say there was I believe it was a 6-week waiting period to get that estimate. So if you are interested in possibly retiring, I would definitely reach out to them sooner than later, just so that the timing of you getting that information is earlier. The district and the employee put in percentages for your WRS. So currently it is at 6.95% of your check going into your WRS pension, and then the district matches that amount. January 1st of 26, that amount is going to change to 7.2%. So ETF is the one that determines what percentage districts and employees contribute annually every January 1st. And then within WRS, there's 2 different trust funds. So most people are going to be in the core. There's also the variable option. So with the variable option, you can only ever join the variable one time in your WRS career, and you can only leave that variable option one time. So once you join and once you leave, you can never put any money back into the variable option. WRS also only allows half of your contributions to be able to go into the variable because it is a little bit higher risk. Benefits are computed 2 different ways. So when you get your April statement, you're going to see 2 different formulas or money purchase amounts on the back of that form. ETF is really good when you contact them about that estimate of benefits to be able to explain to you the difference between the formula and the money purchase, because they are based on your years of creditable service, your average earnings, formula factors, variable funds, whether you have core funds, and the number of years, and every single person will have a different, either the formula or money purchase, whichever one is higher for you specifically is the one that you will get. So you'll always get the higher benefit, and that is going to be different for every person. So normal retirement age is 65, that Medicare eligible. The minimum age to retire with benefits with WRS and the district is 55. The actuarial penalties would be if you are less than age 55 and 30 years of service. Age 57 and 30 years, it is full benefits. Military service also can count towards any of your pension, so contacting WRS directly will be able to provide you the best estimate of your years with military service as well. If you are thinking of coming back to work for a WRS eligible employer, we have some teacher retirees that leave and come back to sub for the district or other WRS eligible employers. There's no restrictions if you go to a non-WRS employer, but if you do go back to work for a WRS employer, you are considered a rehired annuitant. There is paperwork that district or that employer would have to fill out, and you cannot go back to work until the 76th day. So there has to be a true break in service after your retirement of 75 days. And then you can go back on that 76th day. So that 76th day is August 27th. You can not have an agreement in place prior to going back in the end of August. You really cannot have any contact, a good faith break in service from your WRS employer before returning. There are also limitations on how many hours you can work so that your pension, your annuity is not suspended. So if you are under that 880 hours. We reviewed the district options of that $75,000 contribution for the health insurance until that amount is gone, or the 8 years, whichever comes first, or that actuarial reduction penalty to buy up to 2 years of age. Once you remove any family members or go to a single plan, you are not allowed to add those family members or change back to a family plan. So if you start your retiree benefits as a single plan, it will always be a single plan. If you start as a family plan and change to a single plan and remove a spouse or any dependent children, you can never re-add those members back on. There is also not an option to defer the benefits. So you're an active employee and insurance goes through August 31st. Your life event to take retiree insurance on 9/1 is your retirement. So you can't not take the insurance and then 2 years from now decide you want to enroll in the district insurance. There's a gap in coverage. It's not within 30 days. That's not an option. So you must make an election to take the health insurance if you want to take the retiree health insurance in May when I provide that paperwork and begin the insurance on 9/1. We also have some important reminders on here just for the teacher group, information about the actuarial reduction, which I know we've gone over a couple times. This is just an outline of those post-employment benefits with the age 55, 15 years full-time continuous service in the district. There is an option to be able to have the health insurance if you are age 55 and less than 15 years of continuous full-time experience. If you have more than 10 years but less than 15 years, you could elect to enroll in the health insurance as a retiree. However, you are responsible for directly paying that premium to United Healthcare, so we would not pull the premiums from any bank accounts for you. And you would be responsible for paying the full monthly cost, which is similar to COBRA. So a family plan costs about $2,100 a month. So there is the option. It's just not very common because it is very expensive and similar to COBRA. But if you have more than 10 years and less than 15 years and you're at least 55 years old, that is an option. You are able to stay on the district insurance after that benefit ends. Even if you are on Medicare, we will adjust what the premiums look like when you meet Medicare eligibility, and we'll go over a lot of that for our retirees that are board approved in May, just with the dollar amounts of what that looks like once you turn 65. There is a surviving spouse continuation benefit. So if you enroll in benefits and you and your spouse are on the plan, if you were to pass away and you still have that 75,000 portion, a portion of that amount remaining, your spouse is able to stay on that plan. Vision insurance, dental insurance, end of August, they will terminate. The life insurance will be the last day of the month. Same with AD&D. Long-term, short-term will end on your last day of work. So the process, submitting your intent to retire to HR by February 13th, the actuarial reduction to HR by May 18th if you are doing that. You will also want to submit you can submit your questions and letters on this Google form. I have Sharon's and my phone number and email on here. We also have included a sample letter in here. So you can literally copy and paste this into your email or into a Google Doc and send it directly over to HR if you want. It's just really informing the district of your intent to retire after the 25-26 school year, that you're age 55 or older, you have the 15 years of experience as a full-time teacher in the district, and you are electing or not electing that actuarial reduction if you return that form to HR as well. The last page of this document are some helpful links. So just applying for retirement information, the actuarial reduction program, there's the beneficiary forms. So you probably already have your beneficiary forms on file, but as retirement is approaching, you may make changes to that designation. You can fill that out and submit it directly to ETF. There's a calculator for your benefits. There's choosing annuity options. And then that video that I linked earlier in the presentation from Diane will go over all of those options as well. So that's another really good resource. Some common questions, the benefit handbook, and then contacting ETF, phone numbers, emails, contact information. So I will get all of this posted on the website either later today or tomorrow morning. Again, if you have questions, please fill out this Google form so that we can route those to HR, myself, depending on what the question is. And I hope you all have a good evening.